Hi, my name's Kenny McCabe, and I'm out at the ISU compost facility, and we're turning our piles at 8 weeks now, so 2 months. The piles are about half the size of what they started out at, maybe a little less than that. Temperatures started out at about 80 when we turned the last time, and then went down into about 70, into the 70s range, and then came back up to about 90 Fahrenheit. And I'll just go over a brief overview of what some of the materials look like at this point. Alright, so first I'm going to cover the materials that are totally gone. There's about half a dozen, a little bit more. So the first one is tear shell. It's totally empty. This is soy PLA mixed at 50-50. The only thing that's left is stuff that's attached to the indicator tag here. This is PLA, soy, and DDGs. There's a little bit in there, but really it's basically gone. It's kind of doughy material. This is a PLA protein from Aspen Research. It's pretty much totally gone. A little bit in there, but it's also kind of doughy. This is PHA soy. There's a little chunk in there, but overall everything else is gone as well. This is PHA DDGs. Again, another little piece in there, but overall everything else is gone.
They're each what was stuck to the tag last time.
This is PHA cellulose. Really not a whole lot left either, probably what was stuck to the indicator tag. Alright, this here is virgin PLA. You can tell the whole piece is, you can still kind of see some pieces that are intact, but overall it's really brittle. You can just snap the pieces quite easily. It's pretty interesting. Breaks quite easily. This is recycled PLA. It's a little further along than the regular PLA. This was just falling right out of the bag. It's definitely a lot further along than the regular PLA. Again, really brittle. Just breaks down into little pieces. This is a Dollar Tree pot. Really hasn't done anything. It's just dirty from the compost bin. Doesn't even look like it's broken down at all. This is PLA soy. The PLA is incorporated at 67% and the soy at 33%. It's not as far along as the 50-50, which is basically gone, but overall this is quite far along. Just kind of a doughy appearance. The only thing that's really left is the stuff attached to the tag and some smaller pieces, but it does just fall right out of the bag. This is PLA lignin. The whole piece is still pretty much intact. A couple pieces broken off of it. Overall, though, it still isn't quite as far along as we thought it would be. It is pretty brittle, but definitely not as far along as we'd hoped. This is PLA with 20% biores incorporated. It's very similar to the PLA soy at 67-33. Just wants to fall out of the bag as well. And again, this is kind of similar to a doughy appearance, but it's a little drier, a little bit more granular. This is PLA with 30% biores. Not as far along as or it doesn't look like it's quite as far along as the 20%, which is kind of surprising, but they're both pretty similar. Again, breaks down quite easily. It's not really doughy, but more granular. This is a mixture of PLA with corn stover. This is definitely doughy. You can see the pieces just crumble up under in your fingers. Still quite a bit left in the bag, but if it wasn't in the bag, you wouldn't even be able to see this in the pile. This is PHA with 10% starch. You can still see the whole piece. It's still pretty flexible. It's not really brittle. It has broken down some, but overall it's not as far along as some of the other materials. Still pretty flexible, not brittle. This is uncoated paper fiber. You can still see the original piece intact. It's definitely softer than before, but not as far along as we'd hoped. A lot of the paper fiber, or all the paper fiber materials, didn't break down quite like we thought they would. It's definitely soft, but still quite intact. As well as both of the coated paper fibers. This is one coat and this is two polyurethane coats. You can still see the whole piece, and again it's soft, but not as far along as we thought it would be. This is polyamide with lignin. Pretty rubbery. It doesn't appear to be breaking down at all. It just more or less melted into the mesh bag. Same with the polyamide and DDGs. It does look like the DDGs might be gone out of the material, but what's left is pretty rubbery. And again, looks like it just kind of melted a little bit into the bag in some places. And this is PLA with 20% DDGs. Really broken down. You can see there it just crumbles into little pieces. And it's kind of got that doughy-like appearance, but a little bit drier. Not a lot left in the bag there. Alright, just for an example of how far along some of these are, you know, there were 7 materials that were totally gone. Quite a few of the other ones are pretty far along as well, but if you look at some of the corn stover that was actually in the compost pile, you know, you can still see pieces that are quite intact. So just gives you a reference as to how well some of the bioplastics are degrading versus a natural plant fiber. So it's pretty impressive.